Good morning, everybody. Welcome on board. Today we are in Orange County in John Wayne Airport with our Cessna 208 Grand Caravan, and I'm planning to do a practice flight from John Wayne to Victorville. So we will have a chance to practice VOR procedures and an ILS approach, which includes an ARC, DME ARC, which is really interesting. So let's get started. Let's fire up our ForeFlight, and let's go ahead and enter here the flight plan. So it's gonna be from John Wayne, Silo November Alpha, to Kilo Victor Charlie Victor. Okay, now that is our route basically. But we are going IFR, so, and especially in this airspace, which is very crowded, very unlikely that we can get that direct. So we'll see. One of the things that I love about ForeFlight is that it gives you in the route advisor, it gives you the routes that have been actually been given to airplanes in the last few days or in the last month. So as you can tell, we can select between different choices here, and I think the first choice is the most probably the one that we will get because it's been given more than 17 times in the previous month. So basically this route is Seal Beach Victor 21 to Paradise VOR Victor 442 Apples, and then direct. So I think we will go ahead and select this route. Okay, so it's gonna be 93 miles and in our Cessna Caravan at 9,000 feet, 36 minutes. And checking our profile, yeah, we clear all the terrain. We are clear of most airspace, and that's not really important today because we're flying IFR, but yeah, terrain, we are clear of that. So that is the route for today. And let's go ahead and jump into the airplane, and let me start the caravan. So we will go ahead and select the fuel tank selectors to on, verify that the parking brake is set, verify that the flaps are up, verify that the engine controls are correct, trim, see if that works. Sometimes it takes a while to recognize my hardware here. Okay, trim is working and set. All the electrical switches are off. All the air conditioning and pressurization, well, not pressurization, air conditioning are off. So we're good to go. I will fire up the battery. I'm gonna put the fuel boost pump to on, turn the beacon light on, make sure the area is clear. I will shout clear in real life and start the engine. Before that we need to have some engine instruments, so I'm gonna enter here avionics 1. Okay, that gives me some engine instruments. All right, so clear. Okay, so we see that we have NG rising, oil pressure rising, NG more than 12, introducing fuel flow. Fuel flow is good, ITT rising, NG continues to rise, oil pressure is okay now, oil temperature also in the green. NG more than 52, we can disengage the starter and bring the fuel boost pump to norm. Enter avionics 2, put the navigation light on and set some of the conditioning here units. So once that is set, first of all we're gonna enter the flight plan because that's gonna take a bit of time. So flight plan here, activate the cursor, and we'll go from Kilo Sierra November Alpha sorry, Kilo Sierra November Alpha John Wayne Airport, that's correct. And then we will go according to our route, which we said is okay, so Seal Beach first. Okay, so CLI, and I'm not gonna let you see this procedure because it's gonna take a long time until I enter all the waypoints here. Sierra Lima India, that's the VOR. Okay, Sierra Lima India, correct. Then unfortunately we cannot enter routes here in this system as is currently modeled, so we have to enter waypoint by waypoint. So yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that, and once I'm ready, I probably skip also a few waypoints. I will enter only a couple ones per route or per leg. Okay. Now from here is actually a straight line, so I can go ahead and enter one of those like Boxku. Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop the video here and come back once I've finished everything, so you don't get bored with this. We'll see you later then. Okay, I'm back with you. I finished loading up the route, and yeah, I've omitted a few waypoints. So we have from Sierra November Alpha John Wayne Airport to Seal Beach, then via Victor 21 to Paradise VOR, and then via the other one, which is Victor 442 to Apples, and then to Victorville. And from Apples to Apples, whatever, from Apples to Victorville, we'll do the ILS, including the DME, the ARC DME. So that is the route. Let's check here in the graphic format. Yeah, that looks okay. So that's pretty much same thing that we had in our ForeFlight here. Let's see. Yeah, so that is the idea. And so the route is loaded. Now let's see. We need to enter a couple of. Oops. Okay. Let's enter a couple of VORs here. First, we're gonna need Seal Beach, which is 115.7. So I'm gonna set here 115.7, and we are gonna need to go to Paradise, which is 112.2. So I'm gonna enter 112.2 in number 1. So we have number 1 Paradise, number 2 Seal Beach. Now in our primary flight display, I like to have the window in the wind in option 3. I like to have bearing 1 to nav 1 and bearing 2 to nav 2. Transponder is 1200 and standby. That's it. We don't need that anymore. And CDI is selected to GPS. We need to copy the 80s, and for that, let me see, we are in Santa Ana here. Well, actually here is the information already, the meter. Wind calm, 8 miles, clear, 19 degrees. Let's see how much we have here. 20, okay, not too bad. 29903, so 29903, okay. Gonna select, let's see, 3000 for now. Let's see what is our departure. Probably we're going to runway 20. Okay. Okay, so I was planning to use Pilot Edge today, but the sound is not good, so we will go without ATC. But anyway, so the route is set, our nav aids are set. Heading 220 will be after departure from runway 20 up to 2000 feet, and then radar vectors to Seal Beach. And I got a squawk code which is already set, but again I'm not gonna use ATC today, so I think we are all set. Let's set flight controls. Flight controls checks are good, everything is working. Flaps set for takeoff at 20 degrees and trim is set for takeoff. So we are ready. Taxi light on. You check the area and looks clear. So release the parking brake and here we go. Okay, so taxiing to runway 20 right, we will use Alpha Hotel Charlie. Lima to runway 20 right. Okay, so for the takeoff, our rotation today is 75 knots. We will rotate at 75 once we are, and we'll continue accelerate until 95. We are past 95 and above 200 feet. Flaps up. We'll go with a yaw damper on. We'll set the prop levers to 1900. And then once we are above 500 feet, we'll turn right to heading 220, which is the heading assigned for this departure. And then we will inspect radar vectors. And again, we're not gonna use ATC, so I'm gonna give me vectors myself, simulating that I'm receiving some vectors from ATC. So that is the idea. And we'll get back to you when we are ready for takeoff. Okay, we are on Charlie. We are taking Lima here to the left, cross 20 left, and we will hold short of 20 right, and we are ready to go. So we are crossing an active runway, turning the strobe lights on.
Runway 20 left.
Okay, we're approaching 20 left.
20 left.
That is all confirmed.
Meters remaining.
Okay, we're not using the left runway, we're using the right runway. You can see the right is clear and the left is clear. And let's say that we are clear for line up and wait. So we'll turn the landing lights,
right.
kill the taxi light. Transponder is already in altitude and we are all ready to go.
20 right. 1,707 meters remaining.
Okay, that's all good. And we are clear for takeoff. So we will align here with the runway. The compass is wrong. That's another thing that is wrong in this simulation. So we'll disregard the compass. We know that the pavement says 20 right and the horizontal situation indicator, the HSI as well. So here we go. Takeoff. Power is set, everything is good, airspeed is alive. Everything looks good so far. Okay, rotate. We continue acceleration until 95. Okay, 95, and we are 200 feet over the ground, so flaps up. Trim. Okay. Yaw damper on. 500 feet. Turn right heading 220. And we will contact approach. So on a heading of 220, climbing to 2000 feet. So approach will most likely come back to us and said, okay, you're clear to climb to 7,000 feet. Okay, so setting 7,000 here. Oh damn, I hate that. 7,000. Okay, 7,000 is set. And we're climbing at around 120 knots. And let's pretend that the control says now turn right heading 360. So I'm gonna set 360 here. And make a standard turn. That is about 20 degrees of bank at these speeds.
Caution. TFR ahead.
Okay. 360 on the heading, climbing to 7,000. Now let's activate the flight director here. Let's select heading and let's select vertical speed. Now the vertical speed should come up to the one that we are having, that we are climbing through, but it always come up to 0, vertical speed 0, so you have to be careful there. Okay, so we are good to engage autopilot. Autopilot is engaged. And we are good to go. Okay, so landing lights off. Let's do a quick after landing. So the flaps are up, the props are set, engine instruments are good, lights are okay, and yep, that's about it. So we are good. So we are maintaining a heading of 360, climbing to 7,000. Now control says climb to 9,000, which is our cruise altitude. So we set 9,000 there, and yeah, we can increase our rate of climb a little bit, maintain around 120, 125 knots. That is okay. Actually, yeah, I think looks like 1,100 feet per minute is good with this weight. Okay, so now as we can tell, we are heading north and let's say control told us to intercept Victor 21 here with this present heading. Present heading intercept Victor 21. Okay, so let's bring our ForeFlight. That's what we've done so far. We departed, we turn and heading 220, then we get vectors in the form of heading 360, which is heading north. And we are heading to intercept Victor 21 here in this point. So it looks like we're gonna be intercepted after Aheim, between Aheim to Oli, or the next point. I don't think I enter Oli because these 3 points are very close together, so I enter only one of them. I think I enter the Puxku, the one in the middle between these two. So between Aheim and Puxku, that will be our intercept point. And for that, we will go ahead and select flight plan, activate the cursor and select Aheim. We want to activate Aheim to Puxku. So that is the destination waypoint, and we select here activate leg, and that should work. Yeah, exactly. So that is exactly what we wanted. So we have that leg as active and we will intercept that. Now in real life we should press nav now, and the airplane will keep heading 360 until it's ready to intercept. But in this simulator, it is not really working that way. So if I hit nav, it will start turning right away, which is incorrect. So I'm gonna wait until we are within about 1 dot here, that is within 1 mile approximately of the route, and then hit the nav to intercept that leg. So far this simulation is not complete. It has a lot of issues that we have to have workarounds. Well, at least now the compass is correct, showing north. Okay, so nav, and we are ready to intercept now Victor 21. Okay, there we are. As we can see on our multifunction display here, we are intercepted Victor 21 from Aheim to Puxku. Connection lost. Okay. So we are almost ready to level off as well at 9,000. So we'll wait for that, and then to set our cruise setting, which will be around 1800. Okay, successfully connected. Great. Okay, now we have an altitude capture here. Means the autopilot will level off at 9,000 feet. At least that works. Alright, yeah, the autopilot is leveling off at 9,000 feet. And we will accelerate to our cruise speed, and then which will be about 150, 145, 150 knots, something like that. Yes, something about that. So now we will set our cruise torque, which is gonna be 1,800. There we go. Okay, so our cruise torque is set. All the engine instruments are okay. We just cross position Papu, and now we are going direct to Paradise VOR. And we can tell that we have 13 miles to go, and that is correct as well. And now we can set both to Paradise VOR 112.2. Okay, we have Paradise identified in both VORs and both are giving us the same indication, which is correct. So let's see in our ForeFlight, yeah, that's correct. That was the Intercept to Victor 21 and we are flying now this airway here. And from Paradise we will turn here. Let's see, yeah, we will turn, let me bring up the IFR chart. So is on 012 radial outbound, and that will go all the way to Apples. And from Apples, we will do the procedure, the ARC DME for the ILS 17. So let's start working that. So before we do anything else, let's set up our navigation aid. So 109.05, that's gonna be the VOR Victorville 10905. So we will go ahead and set that on nav2 10905, and we will change that later on. We will leave that in a standby for now. And for the chart, that's the chart that we're gonna be doing, the ILS to runway 17 from Apples. We are coming like this way to Apples, and then we do a 12.2 DME arc and intercept the ILS 17. So for the DME arc is based on Victorville VOR, which is 109.05, which we have in standby and radio 2, and the ILS will be 108.75, which I'm gonna set on nav1 108.75. That's going to be in a standby for now on nav1. We are 6 miles to Paradise VOR, so we can use this time to enter the procedure here. So we select procedure, select approach, and it's going to be the ILS 17 from Apples, and we can tell that it's Apples, Byte, Scat, let's see, Apples, Byte, Scat, then Susku, and the runway. So Scat, Susku, and the runway. So all that is correct. So I'm gonna load this, and we'll verify with the flight plan later on. All right, so we are approaching the Paradise VOR. We are 3 miles to go, and then we will turn on the, what was that? That was 012, I think. Yeah, 012 radial. Good, so let's make sure that it does that. According to the picture here, it should do that. And once we are establishing the 012 outbound, then we will continue to brief and verify that the approach is correct to what we need. Okay, yeah, that is turning now. From Paradise to Rise, that is correct. That will be the next waypoint along Victor 442. And Rise is effectively, yeah, correct. It's 12 miles from the VOR, so it's 10.8 plus 1.2 is 12 miles. That makes sense. So all is good. Okay, so we are basically established on Victor 442. Gonna synchronize the heading. It's always a good idea to have your heading synchronized, so if something happened, you can go back to heading real quick and correct anything that the autopilot is doing wrong. So okay, so let's continue with the briefing here. Okay, so we are establishing Victor 22 here. We are going to CAPTS, that's the next waypoint here in this route, CAPTS, and that is what we have here as well, CAPTS, 9 miles to go. And let's do the briefing of our procedure here. That's our ILS. So we have 108.75 set up on number 1. Approach course is going to be 166. Plenty long runway, touchdown zone elevation 2,825 feet. If the local altimeter setting is not received, we use Edwards Air Force Base, and we have to increase the DA and NDA. DME from Victorville VOR, simultaneous reception with India Victor Charlie Victor, which is the ILS. So we need radio 1 with ILS, radio 2 with the VOR. This approach is climb to 3,500, then climbing right turn to 6,000 via heading 300 and Victorville radial 269 to ether and hold. So runway heading basically to 3,500, then right turn heading 300 to intercept the radial 269 from Victorville. So 1095, we will change that to make it active, 1095, and we are gonna set that we have 5 miles to the next waypoint. So I'm gonna be quick here, gonna change to heading, gonna change to VOR 2 and gonna set the course to 69. So we will be ready for the missed approach in case we need it. Okay, so we are heading to 69 from Victorville. Good, so we go back to nav, go back to GPS, and we are all set there for the missed approach. Missed approach altitude is gonna be 6,000 feet. We're not gonna worry about the frequencies today because we're not using ATC. And the procedure is minimum 6,600 along the arc until crossing radial 011, and then we descend to 5,200 until 12.2 DME, which is position SCAT. Then we descend to 4,300 until 6.1 DME, and that's the final approach fix. And then we intercept the ILS down to minima of 3,025. So I'm gonna set that as well, 3,025. Timer reference, activate the cursor, set to battle, and 3,000. Oops. Oh, damn. I really hate this.
Destination ATIS is 135.475.
3,025. So I'm gonna set 3,030. That is the minima for today. The weather is good, so we comply with all the requisite visibility. 3,030. is set. Okay, so that is good. All right, so that is set. Let's see what else can we see from here. It's straight into runway 17. We have puppy lights on the left side. It's a very, very, very long runway, and the exits will be to our left. Minima, as we discussed, and is a 3-degree glide path. So that's pretty much standard. So we're coming up at 9,000 to Apples, and we are heading to Apples. Still 15 miles to go, which is correct. 27 and 15, 42, and if we check here, we see that Apples is exactly at 42 DME. So all that checks. So we are here coming to Apples. Okay, so we can select here as well the procedure, the approach, ILS 17 from Apples, and we can put that into our route. So that will bring the chart as well here, superimposed, and bring us this area here. So that's very nice from ForeFlight as well. All right, so now in our flight plan we have here capped to Apples and then Apples to Victorville, which is not what we want. So we have to be very careful there to activate the approach. So we are going to apples, and apples is the initial approach fix of our approach. So how do we change from these apples to these apples here, which is exactly the same point, but this is from the normal flight plan. And if we don't change, if we don't activate, then after apples it will turn to Victorville. We don't want that. So we select procedure, and then we go to activate approach, and we hit enter. Now we've changed from the flight plan to the approach part of the flight plan. So now we're going direct to apples, and we're going here direct to apples, and now it should continue to fly through this. The DME arcs are still not simulated here, so it's a bunch of radios here that they've constructed to kind of simulate the arc. So here we can tell. Okay, and here we can see that we may have a problem, because it follows the arc until this point here, and then it kind of goes to the right, goes east somewhere, I don't know where. Oh, it goes a long way. No, that's an error. And if we have our flight plan here, all the points are separated between 3 miles, 3 miles, 3 miles, and then suddenly we have one which is 9 miles. Yeah, I think this is the problem, and we don't have SCAT. So after this we should continue to have SCAT here and then intercept. So it's like from this point here, somewhere here, it goes right to the east, which is wrong. So probably we'll have to intervene there to continue this procedure. All right, so we'll do that. So after that, SUSC, and after that the runway, and we don't have missed approaches here. That's another issue for now, that we don't have any missed approach in the procedures. So if we have to do a missed approach, it will have to be manually flown. All right, so that is the plan. We can see this is not the airport that we are landing. This is another airport, Apple Valley. Let's see if we can tell you. Let's hide this from here, and let's go to our VFR sectional. And this is the airport, Apple Valley. So this airport is this one right here. That is Apple Valley. All right, so we are 3 miles to Apples. And there we go. And if we go to our approach plate, same thing. So we will follow in our approach plate here. Now, once we cross Apples and 9,000, we will be clear for the approach. So we will have received something like maintain 9,000 till Apples and clear for the ILS 17 from Apples. So that's what we are going to do. We are 2 miles from Apples. And let's zoom in a little bit to see the details. Basically, we want, this is the Victorville in nav2, and we want to do a 12.2 DME arc. So we have to turn so that this always is pointing towards the VOR. Right now the wind is negligible, so that's not an issue. There we go. Start the DME arc. And again, we will follow with the heading to have it synchronized to, and especially because now we know that we will have to intervene after this, or a little bit before this R37, we will have to intervene and continue manually. So that's the idea with the DME arc. The idea is to keep the pivoting around the VOR. So that's when the RMI or the bearing pointers comes very, very handy. And we can tell that we are 12.1 DME, the DME is 12.2, so that's okay. As long as we are within plus minus 0.2, I'm perfectly happy with that. So let's increase our range here, or decrease our range, so we can tell that we are in the arc. We can tell that we are in the arc. We are at 12.1, coming up to 12.2. There we are. Now we are at 12.2, and then we pivot. So if we're not doing this in LNAV or in GPS, we should be going from 5 to 5 degrees every now and then in order to keep this arrow pointing towards, in this case, the left, because it's a left DME arc. If it would be a right one, then it will be pointed to the other side, of course. So now we can start to descend as well. We need to descend to 6,600. So I'm gonna set 6,600 here. I'm gonna engage vertical speed and maybe select 500 feet a minute and reduce the power a little bit. Probably to 150, 1500, something like that. And keep synchronizing the heading. And that is the DME arc. If we look at a chart, we can see that we are exactly where we want, descending to 6,600 up until radial 11. So we're now crossing radial 062. So we still have some more to go. So up until radial 11, about here, is 6,600. Now in the real unit, it just says here the DME arc 12.2 to Victorville. It's not this bunch of waypoints here, but because the system for some reason cannot simulate the DME arcs properly, that's why they come up with this alternative to kind of make it work. But that is definitely not how real life works, but it's a good approximation for this software for now. Okay, so yeah, 12.1, 12.2. We are still pretty much on track. Descending slowly because we still have some more time to go. So after this, in this segment here is where we will have to intervene and continue manually, because otherwise the system is the autopilot, if we leave it in GPS, is gonna try to turn right, which is incorrect. We're still good with 12.1. It's a 12.2 DME arc. That's fine. That's still good within the limits. And now we are crossing radial 030. Now we are flying towards this R21 here, this segment. So I think we will have to intervene in shortly. Before this turns right. So yeah, I'm gonna change to heading now. Yeah, it was just about to turn right now, you saw? So yeah, and we are 12.1. It's really 12.2, so I'm gonna delay this turn a little bit more, like until now perhaps. Let's see. Okay, and we are on 015. 011 is 66, so we are almost there. So the next one is 52, so we'll continue down to 52. And now we continue descending here. Okay, so we are 12.2 as you can tell now. And the next radial is 356. Basically 5.2 is until 12.2 DME, so we are okay there. .356 is basically the leading radial. Yeah, we're passing radial 360 now. We're at 12.3, so I'm gonna turn a little bit earlier to go back to 12.2. And now we can select the ILS, India Victor Charlie Victor, that is identified, and we can even turn for the localizer there. We are 12.2, back to normal. And now we can start turning to intercept because we've crossed the leading radial. So we're turning to intercept the localizer. It should start moving soon. There it is, start moving the localizer. So now we hit approach, localizer is captured. Glide slope should capture soon as well. There it is, glide slope is captured. Once we have glide slope capture, we set the missed approach altitude, which is 6,000 feet. We synchronize the heading. And we start reducing our power to start configuring the airplane. If we look at the chart, exactly right, so we are established, and the final approach fix is very important to verify the final approach fix at 6.1 DME 4300. Actually, we never updated the QNH because we don't have ATC, so we don't know what the QNH is, so I'm gonna hit B. Okay, looks like it's 2993. We will verify that at 6.9 the final approach fix and passing 4300. So now I think we are ready to set flaps to 20. Lights. Okay, flaps 20, lights on. Good. And 2,900 basically rounding up, that's the airport elevation, plus 1,000, that is 3,900. That means at 3,900 feet we have to be fully configured, fully stable. And from that moment, at that moment, if we are not fully configured, we'll go around. If after that moment we lose configuration, same, we will go around. So that's at the 3.9. So the next thing to check, 6.1, 4,300. So let's see that. Yeah, and now the GPS is completely broken here. I don't know, it's going somewhere else. But we are where we need to be, we are established, and everything is good. So coming up to 6.1, we should be at 4,300, 6.2. 6.1, 4,300, right on the money, and 3,900 fully stable. So flaps steady for landing, and flaps steady is selected. So we are on localizer, we are on glide slope, landing flaps is check, checklists are complete, just standing by for the yaw damper, and approach speed is correct. So approach speed is going to be between 70 and 80. So 65 is VRF, we use plus 5, that's 70. That was approach speed, and plus 10. So basically we can go from 65 to 80. So 3,900, there we go, we are stable, we continue. Okay, so now I'm gonna disconnect the autopilot here, and probably it will mess up a little bit, especially when I hit my rudder trim here wheel, because unfortunately the rudder trim in my hardware is not connected to
2 mile final runway 17
to the sim. I mean, it doesn't receive any feedback from the simulator. So when the autopilot is working, my rudder is not moving. My rudder, not the rudder, the trim, my elevator trim is not synchronized. So that's why usually when you disconnect the autopilot, is usually a little bit out of trim, but that's okay. We're in trim now. We're in localized in glide slope at the correct speed, and just the yaw damper to go away. We're coming up to 500 feet, so I will disconnect the yaw damper, and with that we are fully ready. So now we just concentrate on the aiming point and maintaining localizer and glide slope all the way to the end, and maintaining the proper speed. The checklist is complete. I can see that the white and red on the puppy lights, that confirms that we are correct in our glide. And it's just minor corrections here. Okay. We are on glide, on localizer, on speed. Okay, we crossed the threshold, so we start reducing power to idle and start the flare here. Okay. Okay. Good. So maintain the runway center line. We'll use the next taxiway to the left, which is coming up right now. So I'm gonna start braking a little bit here. And we do nothing except to monitor our speed and see where we're going, making sure that the area is clear. I've seen so many people doing everything while still on the active runway. That's not correct. There is no rush to raise the flaps or reset the trim or do anything of the after landing checklist. We have plenty of time for that. So we'll wait until we are safely established on our taxi route. So we're turning right here. This one is Echo. Okay, so now we are on Echo, so we will turn the taxi lights off, the strobe light on, bring the taxi light on. We will put the flaps up. We'll make sure that the trim is reset. We will turn off the flight director and set air conditioning as required, and verify with the checklist that we've done all the after landing items. So if we check here, we are going Echo to the ramp, cross runway 21 there. So we'll get back to you once we get to the ramp. Okay, so back with you. We are here entering to the ramp, and we will find a place to park the airplane. I think we will just park here. besides this beast jet here. Okay, so taxi light off, parking brake is set. Okay, low idle, air conditioning off. That is all good. And yeah, that's it. So avionics off and cut the engine. Okay, lights off, off. That's it. So that's what we did today. We departed 20 right, heading to 20, heading 360, vectors for Victor 21. We intercepted Victor 21, that was very good there. Then we followed Victor 442 up to position Apples. And then we did a very nice arc DME here, 12.2 DME, and then we intercepted very nicely the ILS and landed on runway 17. So that's it. I hope you like it. Like and subscribe, share with your friends if you see they may be interested in this, and see you on the next one. Have a good one.